Hi, I'm One Free Foster. Today we're celebrating the great Japanese tradition of sushi. Brought over by Japanese immigrants in the beginning of the 20th century, it's the original fast food and has been changing American cuisine. So why don't we go on inside and I'll show you how to make some sushi and we'll enjoy it with our friends. Sushi is defined as seasoned rice. That's combined with neta, which is toppings or fillings. Sushi originally was a way of preserving fish back in the 1400s all across Asia. It was rice, salt, and fish just pressed together until it fermented. Really not a tasty item. But then in the 18th century, a man in Tokyo came up with a great idea for fast food. He took a pat of rice, slapped some fish on it, and away they went. So let's get down to making the rice. So to make sushi rice, what we need is a Japanese short grain white rice. Now today I have 2 cups of rice. We're going to rinse that thoroughly in a strainer until the water comes clear. We'll put that into a pan that has a tight fitting lid with 2 1/4 cups of water. We're going to put this on the stove to boil, and then once it reaches a boil we're going to put the lid back on and let that simmer for 15 minutes at a low temperature. After that is done, we're going to turn the stove off and just let the rice steam for about another 15 minutes. So while your sushi rice is cooking on the stove, we can make the seasoning to go with the rice. We have a half cup of rice vinegar, a 1/4 cup of sugar, and a teaspoon of salt. The sugar helps cut the acidity of the vinegar. So we'll just keep stirring this until the sugar becomes completely dissolved, and then we can just set it aside and add it to the rice when it's done. Alright, now that we have our sushi rice done and it looks fabulous, we're going to put this into a non-metallic bowl or platter. And you don't want to use metal because that can alter the taste of the rice. We're going to use a wooden spoon or spatula or a plastic spatula. We'll spread that out carefully and then we'll drizzle some of the seasoning over the top and carefully mix that in. We want to make sure that we don't break the grains of rice. At this point, we need to cool the rice. Now this is important because it helps all the starches work together to make this the nice sticky rice we need for sushi. We'll just do this until it's room temperature. Should be ready to go. So I mentioned earlier that sushi was the original fast food. So we're going to make the easiest sushi, which is nigiri. Basically, it's a pat of rice, a nice slice of fish, a little bit of wasabi, and enjoy. So we have 2 pieces of fish. We have maguro tuna and sake, the salmon. We're going to need a nice slice that can cover the majority of the pat of rice. I also have a bowl of water that has vinegar in it, and this helps to lubricate the knife through all the material, and it also keeps your hands from getting stuck to the rice. So you dip your fingers in. Dip your knife in. And then we'll do a nice slice right against the grain of the fish. Do some more with the salmon. I'm going to wet my hands again and get ready to roll the rice. I'm just going to have a little pad. I'm going to press into the palm of my hand. I'm going to take a little dab of wasabi. Just smear it right on top. And the fish goes right on top of that. I'm going to press it into the hand. Get it nice and firm, and we'll just keep making more. The first fast food, today's sushi, was invented by Hanaya Yohei in 18th century Edo, which is now Tokyo. And there we go. Nigiri. We've made the nigiri, which is the fast food of sushi, and now we're going to get to the real crowd pleaser, the maki sushi. This is the maki. It is the bamboo rolling mat. And behind the cutting board we have the nori. This is the seaweed that all the neta are rolled up inside with the rice. First, we need to cut our ingredients up. We're going to start with just a simple cucumber roll, and we need to cut this up so that it's just long enough to fit inside. Next, we want to cut this into 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch pieces. That is more than enough for the first roll. Now we're going to take our bamboo mat, lay that out. We're going to take the nori, we're going to place it shiny side down. Here's where we can wet our fingers and apply the rice. Again, we're not pressing too hard so that we're breaking the grains of rice. You want to bring it out all the way to the edge, but in the front we want to strip about 1 1/4 inch, 1.5 inches. Next, we're going to lay some wasabi down through the middle. And then we're going to put our piece of cucumber right in the middle. Bring this up and over. And tuck it in. Roll this over some more. Tuck it in. And then make sure we pull the mat out as we go. Now, if you get a piece that doesn't stick together, just take some of your wash. And there we are. We have our first roll. And now we're ready to cut. It's very important that you get even numbers of pieces and more than 4. It's considered traditionally bad luck to have an odd piece. Kind of disrupts the peace of the world, as it were. Alright, now we can just lay this on a tray and present it to our friends. Alright, now that you've seen how a basic roll is made, let's prep a diversity of neta, or fillings and toppings, for the rest of the rolls. First, I'm going to cut a piece of fish for you. Now, with cutting fish to put inside rolls, you just need thin little pieces. Again, we're going for about 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. And the same with an item such as bell pepper. And also, because it's always tasty, we can use some cream cheese. That'll get us started, and of course we have many other items to put into our rolls. Now that we have a lot of ingredients prepped for the neta, the filling and topping, we can start making some really interesting stuff. I think I'm going to come up next with kind of the Philly roll especial. Back to the maki, and our nori, shiny side down. With the fingers, spread the rice. The little wasabi goes a long way. Then a strip of cream cheese right across the middle. Here I'm using sake, or fresh salmon, on the inside of my roll. A slice of cucumber, some green onions, and for a little sweetness, yellow bell pepper and carrot. Then we'll fold this over, and this will definitely be a futomaki, or fat roll. And at the end, a little bit of the tezu, or seasoned water, on the end of the nori. Finally, for this filet especial, I'm topping it with marinated and grilled salmon. Tasty. And now we're ready to cut. So our next roll is going to be a vegetable roll, and I want to point out at this time that
texture is also just as important as flavors. So it's nice to have a diversity of different things, different textures. I'm going to start with the nori. And this should be starting to look fairly familiar too. A little wasabi across the middle. And I have a piece of cucumber. There's a little bit of crunch to it. Some blanched white asparagus. These are really tasty and have a nice soft texture. And we have maki. Getting a little more crunch and bite. Some spicy green onion. Sweet bell pepper. And some carrots. Tuck it in. Tuck again.
And finally, top it with some nice slices of avocado.
And we always want to do a nice presentation, as food is just as much art as it is for pleasure. And there we go.
Next roll that I'm going to do is actually called uramaki sushi. It is the inside out roll, and it is one of the most popular that you can get at a restaurant because it is the California roll. What I have done is started with putting plastic around the maki, and this time we're going to cover the entire roll with rice. We definitely want to make this an even layer, since this is going to be on the outside and will be your presentation.
And now I will flip this over onto the plastic covered maki. Put a little bit of extra rice down at the bottom.
We'll take some wasabi and we'll do a smear about a third of the way up from the bottom.
Do a layer of avocado.
Some of our fake crab pieces. This is just a cooked white fish and a piece of cucumber.
Some spicy green onion. I like a few pieces of bell pepper just for some extra color. Now we will roll this up. Give it a tuck. Roll some more. And this is almost ready. Final step is to take some toasted sesame seeds, sprinkle over the plastic, and we'll roll this back up. Lovely. I like to top mine with some pieces of the salmon. Now we'll start cutting.
And our presentation. So now you have a very beautiful California roll. And now, let's eat. Come on in, my friends. Come on in.